Bring this meeting back to order. I'd like to welcome Mr. Wolf to the meeting. And so for the benefit of the public, what we wanted to do was, because of the vote on the budget, we thought there might be some changes in additional agenda items, specifically 12 personnel approvals. And after a lengthy discussion, we realized that actually we can leave things the way they are. And so...
Explain why, please. Do you want to do that?
You could...
The reason we're leaving them the way they are is that the way the motions are presented, the administration has to go back now with the re-entry of basic skills into the program to figure out the proper seniority determinations to determine who the exact employees that may be affected seniority-wise within this. We can ratify what's here tonight, and then if we have to make changes, we can do that at a later date. So we wanted to just make sure we ironed that out.
Okay. Having said that, are there any additional questions? Well, actually, we don't even have a motion for 12 yet.
12A through I, with the exception of G, H, 12A1, 12A, 1A.
G.
G, H, 7.
Okay.
12A, 1A. The motion of for A through I, with the exception of G and H, and 12A, 1A.
I thought we determined 12A1A was...
No, that's Mrs. Benson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha.
I see what he's doing.
It's two contracts and
I got it. Yep, I got it. Okay. So the motion's on the table for 12A through I, with the exception of A, 1A, and G and H. Do I have a second? Mr. Potts, any discussion? I'm sorry, Mr. Sermonero seconded. Any discussion?
there was a question that was, I'd like to send that I'll take an I separately.
Is there an amendment? Does somebody want to take I separately? Was there an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, and that was seconded?
No, you don't separate. Yeah. And I will.
Okay. So I is separate also. So it's A through F. A through F with the exception of A, 1A. Okay. All right. Everybody understand it? Okay, great. Can we get a roll call?
Okay, so motion was with Walt Shaheen, 12A through F. First by Mr. Shaheen, second by Mr. Sermonero.
It's A through F with the exception of A1.
Exception of A1A. Okay. Mr. Sermonero.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill, yes. Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. So now we'll move on to 12.
Do 12A, 1A, and add the regrets.
Second.
12A1A with regrets. First, Mr. Sheehan. Second, Mr. Sermonero. Any additional discussion?
I'd like to make a comment. Mrs. Penza, it's been a wonderful I think it's 4 years now with you. I want to wish you well in your new endeavors. And I just, as superintendent, want to thank you for your service through the many difficult times that we've had to go through with the budgets. I think you've done an admirable job in putting the budget in front of the board in the years you've been here. And I can't thank you enough for your service, and I wish you well.
Yeah, I agree 100% with those sentiments. You picked a heck of a time to become a business manager. And so trial by fire is usually the best way to earn your spurs, and I think you've done it. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, could we get a roll call vote, please, on 12A1A with regrets?
First motion from Walter Shaheen, seconded by Mr. Seminaro. Mr. Hamel, yes. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
No.
Good, good. Mr. Seminaro?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
What's the count?
You got-
No.
No?
Yeah. I'm kidding, it's a yes.
Motion
He
passed.
changed, he
Okay.
said yes.
It's a yes. Okay, do we have a motion for 12G, please?
Second.
Any additional discussion on 12G? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
I forgot the motion. Well, Mr. Shaheen, seconded by Mr. Seminaro. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Seminaro?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamel? Yes. And Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion for 12H?
Motion for 12H.
Second.
Mr. Seminaro.
Way wrong. Okay, so,
Okay, any discussion?
There was notification last Friday that the union did ratify this proposed contract.
So it was ratified by the union on Friday.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Kurtz, you have a
Yes,
comment?
I just wanted to say, I think the team did a good job negotiating this contract. I do have an objection to one component. It's a philosophical objection, but it's an important objection. I don't think the district should be collecting union dues. I don't think that should be the work of the district, so I'm going to respectfully vote no, but I appreciate the work the team did. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Okay, Ms. Hamel? Roll call vote, please.
roll call for
12H.
12H. First by Mr. Shaheen, seconded by Mr. McLaughlin. Oh, we gave it to you. We gave it to you. Frank? Okay, Mr.
We're just
Seminaro.
getting used to this new arrangement here.
So, Mr. McLaughlin? 12H. Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Seminaro?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamel, yes. Mr. Kurtz?
No.
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Do we have a motion for 12I?
Motion for 12I.
Second. Oh, wait. Oh, second.
That's all you need to do. Just a second.
Okay, so we have a first by Mr. Sheen, a second by Mr. Kurtz. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, Dr. Otto, I looked at the job description. After reading it, I'm still not exactly sure what this position is. I mean, I recall that we had Mr. McAvoy, we had Mrs. Trainer, and then I thought is that this job combined? What exactly is it?
This is a little bit of a combination of both of those, as I had said earlier. This is an existing job description that we had on the books. We had just not had someone in it. This was discussed and brought forward with Mrs. Trainer to me. Unfortunately, it was at the time that I was away with the passing of my mother. So I'm going to defer to her at this point. If she would come up and
Ms.
just
Torchin.
Mrs. Torch, I'm sorry, and give a little bit more background on what she had put together in addition to what I had said earlier.
Since Mrs. Trainer has left, there's been quite a few things that have become new to the administration, particularly me, with regards to responsibilities that she did not have. And that includes Keystone testing, it includes the new teacher evaluation tool. I need a liaison for the cyber school initiative, and also I had recommended that the person could work to make sure that the Title I program is being fully implemented with regards to us being monitored this school year.
One of the things that we also said was that when it was presented to me, the stipulation that I gave when it came forward to me was that it would cost no additional funds in the budget, and I believe that was accomplished with this plan.
Okay. Any additional questions?
You know, if you're else, just for Mr. Long, the other thing was that with the keystones, they need to be manually counted for, and Mrs. Torsion is doing that as well as the SSA, you're actually counting, scoring, and moving them,
And this was not required before.
no, it was required, it would be, but with the keystones, it is now required, which wasn't. We didn't have keystones 2 years ago or so. So now it's being done, and that was all being done with preventing, when we had Mrs. Trainer and Mrs. Torsia together, one could do it, but after that, the amount of time it took to actually physically have to count. I know somebody's going to say, why can't an administrator, like a secretarial, but it can't be done. It's got to be done by a school administrator. So,
There are test security issues around that.
security issues around that with the test also. When it was presented to us, that was one of the driving forces you have to have a body to do it.
This is the first year that that's required.
This is the first year that Keystones are fully implemented by the state, yes, and they do impact 8th grade as well. All the exam tests are given to the students in the spring, along with tests being given in December 2 times, and then 2 different tests in January, and then in the spring.
Mrs. Torsia, I think you've explained that the funds needed to pay for this were from a grant money that can only be used for administrative uses. So it's not being taken out of the general fund or away from.
There is not. In fact, I'm increasing an additional staff person to go in and assist with Title I at Birdsboro, which is one of our targeted schools. So I have also increased another staff member to be able to give support as well by reallocating some of those funds.
I just think it was important to mention where the funds were actually coming from.
Absolutely.
And that staff is not a full-time staff that's getting hired. It's a staff member that I can utilize as like, an instructional person.
Okay. Any additional questions? Comments? Okay. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
For 12,
12 aye.
motion by Mr. Shaheen, seconded by Connor Kurtz. Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen. Yes. Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Sermonero.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill, yes. Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. On to 13. A through D. The first and second. Mr. Sheehan did a first. Mr. Sermonero second. Do I have any discussion?
Yeah, high school handbook. Again, I don't remember, did we ever receive a copy of that?
It was attached to the agenda of the committee of the whole.
I looked at it, I didn't see it. The question was, does the handbook, and again, if I were to look at it, I'd say, does the handbook list the graduation requirements, or is it more of the routine procedures?
School handbook, I haven't actually looked at it, but I know we have our planned course of studies. That's usually where your graduation requirements are. Sometimes it's in the student handbook as a double. Mr. Kurtz, maybe you, as a student, if you remember if that was listed in there.
Handbook every year as per the requirement.
But it's let me say it this way. It's definitely in the course of studies booklet.
I
That
know it's in the course of studies book, but my question is it in the handbook? Because if it's in the
I
handbook,
believe after looking through the handbook, not to interrupt, I think it is in the handbook.
well, then did we change the graduation requirements in that handbook now that we've removed the business driver's education course?
I can't speak to that either.
Remove something that isn't valid.
Mr. Shaheen, if you look on my computer on the lower tab, I had it on the low tab, the email that was sent out with those attachments.
Let me look and see if it's here.
It wasn't in the attachment for the voting.
It was only, I think the attachment only had the changes. That's generally what we only send
Committee as a
out.
whole, and it was on the side, because I was just looking at it.
Yeah, what was included for the committee of the whole was a sheet of proposed change.
That's what we usually do.
Okay, I didn't see the full, I guess the full book was not included. I'm looking at it now. It wasn't indicated on the proposed changes sheet. Maybe it was just a
Well,
small.
just not to hold the process up, I'll approve this with asking administration to please look at that.
We'll get back to you.
Back and vote on it.
I can speak a little bit to it. The handbook is procedures, and based upon the results of this meeting, I have spoken to Mr. Henkel that he should put in for an amendment of the handbook to show the difference in what he's going to do with regards to the credits because of the change at the high school. So, and he's on vacation as well as his assistants this week. But that was something that I recommended that he do for the beginning of the school year, prior to it starting to amend that handbook. Or not the handbook, I'm sorry, to amend the course selection book to reflect the proper offerings.
Okay.
Would that be?
I mean, I've been asking for it for 3 months now. Just to make sure it reflects what's really there.
Are you suggesting we should table this motion?
No, that doesn't go, it doesn't appear in that, but no, always moderated, that's still the process.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion? All right, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
I have 13A through D. First, Mr. Shaheen. Second, Mr. Sermonero. Mr. Shaheen?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Sermonero?
Yes.
Ms. Hamel, yes. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Potts?
Yes.
Mr. Basil?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, do I have a motion for 14,
In A through J?
A through J? Do I have any, second? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, can we get a roll call vote, please?
I have 14A through J. First, Mr. Shaheen. Seconded, Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Sermonero.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamel, yes. Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, we have nothing under transportation unless any board member has something they want to add here. Okay, on to 16, old business, Title IX. I think the question had come up at the Committee of the Whole meeting, how much money we've spent to date in reviewing this Title IX process, and my understanding is almost $9,000? Yeah, about $9,000 we spent to date, and we basically demonstrated that we were in compliance with Title IX 100% of the time.
The last conversation I had with the investigator from the Office of Civil Rights was on May 20th. He indicated that based on the information that the district had provided to date, that our participation rates looked good, and that they did not indicate any disparity in our programming and/or any failure to meet the interest of our student body by sex with respect to participation in athletics. It indicated that based on that review that the investigation staff were recommending that the matter be resolved pursuant to an informal agreement. He said that he expected to get back to me within 1 to 2 weeks. If that recommendation were accepted, the complaint would be dismissed. I had not heard back. I left a telephone message and an email message to Mr. Brannigan from OCR as a follow-up.
Okay.
Question I had is the number of members of the public wants to know exactly what that Title IX issue was, and I think there's outlined that, but also who initiated the complaint. Is that something that becomes public knowledge, or they have to do a freedom of information to find that out?
I think I would recommend that that be done through a right-to-know request. And I would want the opportunity to just confirm that that's not privileged in any way or confidential information.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the Title IX issue? Okay. New business, PSBA and House Bill 76. Mr. Kurtz.
All right, thank you, Mr. Basil. I received an email a few days ago from Pennsylvania School Boards Association, and I believe all board members received it. They didn't, I forwarded it to them. PASPA is soliciting ideas for their 2014 legislative platform that they will adopt in October. That will then be their platform for the 2014 school year. Not school year, 2014 academic year, whatever you call it. I thought it might be a good idea for our board to request PASPA to support the Property Tax Independence Act in their platform. So PASPA has proposed to it. And of course, PASPA has many members. This is one step where perhaps we can do something to initiate statewide change, possibly. So my proposal is in front of the board members. I'd like a chance to review it on your own. I'm happy to read it out loud and say to the public too if you'd like to do that.
Sure, by all means.
The proposal from the Denny Boone, the proposal from the Denny Boone Area School District, it says, the Denny Boone Area School District requests that the Pennsylvania School Board Association adopt support for the Property Tax Independence Act, HD/SB 76 in their platform. And the rationale, I'd like you to read that. Throughout Pennsylvania, the school districts are facing major funding crises. The Property Tax Independence Act is bipartisan bills sponsored by representatives and senators across Pennsylvania that will eliminate school property taxes and instead only fund Pennsylvania schools by increasing the sales tax and the income tax. No school district will receive less funding than they receive now, and homeowners and school boards will no longer have to fear increasing property taxes. The bill will finally require the state to fully fund education per its constitutional obligation. So what I'm asking tonight is that our board ratify this proposal, it be signed by the board secretary, and then it be mailed to PASPA, and they will discuss it on August 10th in their policy committee. Our board has the option to send somebody to that policy committee to speak on behalf of the board's effort to get their item included in the platform, and I'd be willing to do that in Harrisburg. So with your board's blessing, I very much enjoy advocating this because I believe it's an important issue. I believe our board does too. So I'd ask for a vote on this, just formally ratify it, and then the secretary to sign it and be mailed to PASPA tomorrow. If there's any discussion or objection,
Just needs to put a motion on the floor.
You can make a motion.
yeah, I'll move that the board ratify support for the proposal for 2014 PSBA legislative platform as presented.
I'll second it. Modification, Mr. Cole's name,
Yeah, look, the board already passed a resolution supporting 1776. We sent that resolution off to our legislative representation, and, so I think this is just, letting PASBA know that we stand behind it as well. So I don't have an issue with it at all. I think it's a good thing. Any other discussion or comments? Okay, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Who was the first?
It was Mr. Kurtz, seconded by Mr. Sheen.
I have PASBA HB 76.
Yep.
First by Connor Kurtz, seconded Mr. Shaheen. Mr. Sermonero.
Yes.
Mrs. Hamill, yes. Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Potts.
Yes.
Mr. Shaheen.
Yes.
Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Mr. Basil.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Volunteer your time to go to Harrisburg to do that personally.
Okay. Absolutely. Presentations by the public on issues.
Rich Martino, 225 West Mills Drive. And I would just like a clarification on something about the sunshine laws. Two items are on the agenda tonight. The support staff contract and a position for coordinator of instructional services. The support staff contract, the public had not seen, still has not seen, because it's been approved and ratified
discussed with me, subject to an executive session, and are not required to be discussed in public. As to the availability of the collective bargaining agreement itself, that document was just approved by the board this evening. So as of this time, it is subject to public disclosure, but prior to adoption by the board, it's not, there's no requirement under the law that that document be made public prior to approval by the board.
Mr. Stewart, before you go to the second part, I had sent the board and Dr. Otto an article in STEM in the Reading Eagle earlier in the year, or last year rather, that talked about school secrecy case law and cited Pennsylvania right to know law that said that you can negotiate the contract in private, but the public has a right to see it and comment on it before it's approved.
The cases cited in that article did not stand for that proposition, and I am not aware of any case law that stands for that proposition. And my understanding of the law is that the district does not, the board does not have to disclose an agreement, a collective bargaining agreement, until it's approved by the board.
With all due respect to your opinion, can you tell me what law you're citing to say that?
I reviewed the cases, I reviewed the article, I pulled the cases that were cited in the article. They did not stand for the proposition set forth in the article. And I don't know that there's any specific, I could, we've had issues regarding pre-deliberation materials before that went up to the Open Records Office, and this board prevailed in its determination that pre-deliberation materials are not subject to disclosure under the right to know law. As far as additional authority, as I sit here this evening, I can't cite any specific authority, but I'm confident in the opinion.
And the position?
It's in our job description book.
Before, obviously, it must have been discussed in executive session, and that's my question. What is it that is required to be discussed only in executive session?
As far as the executive session, the personnel decisions relating to specific, the hiring, firing, filling of specific positions. But as far as the job description itself goes, I believe that has been previously made public.
That was on the agenda.
The position, the job description, is a new job description.
It was an existing job description that's part of our organizational, every job that is in the district and some that are filled or unfilled, we have on file in the office, a copy of all job descriptions, teacher, cook, bus driver, everything is in there, and this was one of the positions that was on our books. It has not been on our organizational chart because it hasn't been filled until this evening.
And that's my point. It was never discussed publicly before you decided to fill it.
I don't know that that's the case if there was a job description for the position. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure what his question is.
Well,
I think what he's asking is whether or not the board can act on filling a job position without public comment. Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking what is required to be discussed in private executive session.
Filling a specific position is allowed to be discussed in an executive session.
This wasn't filling it.
Yes, it was.
No. You're saying the position existed in some files or somewhere, but it's not on your website or on your organizational chart.
So you're saying that it doesn't exist then? If we have a job description?
It came out of nowhere on the agenda tonight.
Well, you were given the opportunity to question that or offer public comment regarding any agenda item beforehand. And I don't know because this is the first this issue is being presented to me. But it's my understanding that there was a pre-existing job description, so evidently there had to be some discussion at some point previous to now about this.
There was discussion of an individual for this position.
Yes, and at some point, the job description had to be created in order to even be entered into our catalog of jobs within the school district.
That's correct.
So this thing's been on the books for umpteen years.
I just think it's a matter of credibility. That stuff just appears. And
Well, I think you also need to understand, Mr. Martinez, you have 9 people up here that are representative of the public. I mean, we just didn't get here by, osmosis or something else. We were elected to represent the public in the decisions that are being made, and clearly in executive discussions, things that go on regarding negotiations or personnel or real estate or litigation, those are things that take place behind closed doors so they can be resolved. And, that's your representatives at work. And so I don't think everything that comes up in executive session has to come before the public for comment, because we have to make those decisions, and they have to be done in good faith with the parties that we're negotiating with. And, that's how it's done. It's how it's done here. It's how it's done with municipalities and in Harrisburg and everywhere else.
Thank you.
Yep.
To Mr. Martino's point, though, if we would decide, we could decide to post the agreement beforehand.
Only after it's been ratified by the association.
We did not get notification until late Friday that it was ratified, and we're voting on it tonight.
Okay.
I think in terms of a best management practices, if that's something the board would like to do, I think, we're obviously legally entitled to do something like that. And I think I've expressed to you that if you're going to enter in negotiations with a collective bargaining partner with that expectation that, hey, look, we're starting our negotiations in whatever the month is, and just so you know, when we get to the end and you ratify that decision, we're going to give the public an opportunity to review that and comment. If they understand that in the beginning of a negotiation, I think then you're bargaining in good faith. If you change and you do that at the end, and the other party isn't aware that you're going to do that, I think that exhibits bad faith on the part of this board with the other partner that you're negotiating with.
I agree with Mr. Basil. I just ask that moving forward as a matter of, not maybe we should have this in policy, all contracts, whether it be with Bob New Foundation or whether it be employment contracts, I think our collective bargaining partner should know up front that this will be posted prior to board ratification.
You want to be careful with that.
Yes, assuming that comes.
Right.
I mean, before the board moves on it, I think it's
Yeah,
important.
typically they ratify it before we do.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, that's the way the method passed. That's the way it should be.
Right.
Correct.
And moving forward, just let's make that clear with our collective bargaining partners, whoever they may be, whether they be a union or whether they may be an agency of some sort, whatever, let's just do that. My
Yep, you're welcome. Any other public comment? Okay.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.